this opportunity to publicly thank Mrs. Eileen Cuthbertson, who unfortunately had to leave for her choir practice. She's a dedicated District 20 colleague who has helped me every step of the way as we plan this second amazing travel opportunity for the students. I'd also like to thank Pat Shoemaker from Chinook Trail Elementary, who so graciously allowed his 2 Mandarin teachers to accompany us on the trip. I want to thank Delane Maxon and Jen Pan, who traveled with me, helped me navigate arrangements as only native speakers can do. And thanks to Michael Freeman, who so willingly will go anywhere and attend every event that I do, from music to opera to China and back. So thank you. I'm thrilled that Kelly Lumber was able to be here with us tonight as a representative of the student group. Thank you, Kelly. And when the pictures start rolling, Kelly's going to help me be available to answer any of your questions. I got the quick lesson on the new device, so let's see.
If I can interrupt 1 second, I saw you on TV the other night.
This girl gets around. So, as you will soon see, and Mark tells me that when it gets full size, I'm ready to go, and it's not there, but you'll soon see from the Wordle that we created, these are words that the students provided for us about the travel experience in China. We had culture come to life over the 10 days of our travel, and we hope to continue this direct exchange with Nantong in the future. I believe we have found a true partner halfway around the world. Our travels started in Shanghai, and we explored the old city and the modern city. We took in the art museum, walked around the Kew Gardens, listened and danced to the sounds of a musical group playing on porcelain instruments. These are the photos from the airport. Departure in Colorado Springs, and some 16 hours later arriving in Shanghai. The students had the opportunity. We are not in sync, Mark. I don't think I'm not in control of that at this point, but I'll keep going. The students experienced something called the singles market. I'm going to let Kelly explain that one. They met a bride and a groom and did some photo bombing with a little permission. They enjoyed street music and had first tastes of Shanghai cuisine. Our next stop was Nantong, the school where we visited, a smaller city of 7.5 million. Built around a figure-8 canal system, the students spent 3 nights in host homes, attended classes at school in English, math, art, music, Peking opera. Okay.
We're having technical difficulties.
Well, thank you.
Our new machine is not working, fan or indoor.
Oh.
Was I in overdrive? Sorry. Okay. Well, while we're doing that, Kelly, let me just pop a question to you. And I know you can speak extemporaneously because you come from DCC High School. And my question to you would be, what left the biggest impression on you through our travels?
I would have to say that Nantong and experiencing a host family left the most impression. I still talk with my girl and her friends. We got to experience what it was like to sleep in Chinese beds and, experience what their school is like. They have uniforms that they wear every Monday for a flag raising ceremony, and they all have to run in their lines, and it's very, very orderly, and they all their ROTC kids raise the Chinese flag every Monday, regardless of whatever. It was also interesting to experience classes. They stay in the same room and the teachers revolve around. Their hours are also a little bit longer than ours. They start at 7 and go till about 6. One of the classes that left the most impression on me was the opera class. The teacher did not speak English, so we were very confused at first, and she just started singing in Chinese. And she had a beautiful voice, and it was just wonderful to hear her. And then we were asked to sing. That was interesting. We were also asked to dance. So, oh gosh. We got to sit there and watch as the kids participated in class. They're all very enthusiastic. They all really welcomed us and enjoyed our presence, and myself and all of the other kids enjoyed them. It was very, very fun.
What did you sing?
There was a video with this like Chinese actor singing in this really, really high-pitched voice, and we were supposed to mimic her. I have no clue what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have photo proof of it.
Okay.
Well, Kelly, one of our sons went to China, and he was also expected/invited to sing and perform, and it really makes a lot of sense, I think, because one of the chief, if not the chief export of the United States is our culture, and you know, the Chinese are so heavily involved in all things entertainment, but especially movies, and so they assume that we all are talented, as of course you are. I don't remember the song that he said he sang, but it was like a very basic, because he had to work with the other, yes. But it was one of his top memories too, as well as that 100-year-old egg or whatever. Were you subjected to that?
I subjected my friends to it.
Oh, smarty. You didn't do it yourself.
Oh no. But the friend next to me when it was on one of the dishes was poking at it, and I was like, I think that's one of the 100-year eggs, and she's like picking it apart, and she smelled it, and she's like, I'm not trying it.
No, it's like gelatinous to the X. Yeah. But anyway. So.
What was the thing that surprised you the most? I'm sure you did a lot of studying and a little bit of research and stuff like that. What is the thing that surprised you the most when you were in China?
The thing that probably surprised me the most is how active they all are. Like, you're just walking down a street and there are 20 people on little mopeds or bikes behind you trying to get through. Regardless of, you're in a market, you're in an alley, they're always there. And they're always beeping at you. And we actually watched one lady get ran into.
Oh.
That wasn't hurt or anything, so it was good. But it was just surprising how many people. I know China is the leading population. Yes.
The most
But
likely, yeah.
yes, thank you. But you don't really know until you experience how many people are actually there.
What was least surprising to you?
The fact that they have McDonald's and KFC and Starbucks.
Okay.
Like, you'd expect it, but, like, yeah.
Did anyone want to take your picture?
Oh. Thank you, Dr. Hatchell. Being the only blonde
I was
person
going
in
to
the
take your
group,
picture, touch your hair.
surprisingly no one touched my hair, thankfully. Being like one of the only blonde people in the country of brunettes, they like to take pictures with or without your consent.
Oh.
So, someone in the group would point out, Kelly, I think they're taking a picture, move so I can check, because people would take selfies and the camera would be angled towards you, but you'd never know. There were some people that took videos of me from afar, and then everyone was like, go up and talk to them, and I was like, okay, and so I took selfies with 10 people that I know of.
Well, you're famous for your hair all over the world now.
Yep.
So what I see in the pictures, that you were right there in the middle of that army, the terracotta army. What was that like?
That was so cool. You don't, like, we all have the first impression of what it is.
Mhm.
We've all seen pictures, but once you get there, the place is huge.
Really?
Our tour guide was like, it's about the size of an airplane hangar, and when you walk in, it's probably about the size of two, or the main place is.
Right.
And then we all have the image of the Terracotta Warriors, but there's actually two other buildings. There's a building where it's a stable, was our understanding, and there's horses and warriors facing each other, unlike the rows in the first building. And then there's also a third building of completely untouched warriors, because the warriors actually are colored, but the sun and oxygen, the air, when they're uncovered, oxidizes it and causes the color to fade into what we see. So they're currently working on the science to prevent that from happening. So they have it mapped out where each warrior is and what everything is in there, but it's all covered.
Wow. So did you do it again?
Oh, and a heartbeat.
Oh, that's
so
good
much
to
fun.
hear. Good to hear.
I'm curious about something, because you talked about the opera and the singing and everything. Do you know how often do those kids experience music classes every day? Do you know?
I think they do, because they have a whole building of their biology, and there's a whole floor for art, and they have calligraphy. The music class was the size of a lecture hall for us, and set up the same way. My understanding is they have it, because we're on a block schedule, and my understanding was they weren't. So I think they have it every day.
I was just curious if you knew about it. You might look this up. I heard this information years ago on a report on National Public Radio, but I believe it remains to be true, that China has the highest proportion of people on Earth who have perfect pitch. And scientists believe the reason for that is because of the way language is acquired. Chinese language, as you understand, there are words that have completely different meanings based on intonation. So in order to understand and acquire language, they have to have a much better, more well-trained ear than we do. That was the theory, but at that time, no one had proven it. So, and now I'm gonna go home and look it up too and see if that's still the case.
I will too.
Because I found that to be really interesting. So I wondered how much time they're spending also on music, but that skill and having good pitch is really very highly valued culture.
I know we need to move on, but I would ask, what's one of the things that you've learned during your trip that you think or believe should be incorporated into education here? Is there anything that jumps out at you?
One thing, of course, we have this in our school, but they're so kind to each other. Of course, every school and every place has its bullies, but they're just so welcoming and kind, and we were Americans, and we looked different, and we sounded different. We didn't speak their language, but they still put in the effort to try and understand us and make us feel welcome and take us into their homes and feed us, etc.
Can you go back to that kiss and go picture?
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. I
Yes.
can't understand.
The bottom right picture that you're seeing is the grandmas at the kiss and go, actually this is the end of the day pickup line at the carpool for the elementary school at Nantong School. I want you to pay very close attention to how carefully that car seat is strapped on to that scooter. And grandma is waiting for the second child to get on the back. Somehow I think we're doing something right over here, and but I had to snap that picture as we were walking through the village behind the school. The last time I had that funny picture of don't leave any children behind, I thought this was my kid one. So the Terracotta Warriors, just having the kids be able to stand among the replicated warriors was a pretty special moment. This is in Nantong. This happens to be the character, I think Deling would say the longest character in Chinese, and the man behind the character is making bang bang noodles. And we had quite a time eating those noodles. A Tide stick will be added to the packing list next time.
I was gonna ask, what would you change?
Yeah, that would be one. Chopsticks and really wide noodles, challenge. The students got to ride the ancient walls of Xi'an. Some of us stayed on feet. These were two great pictures we were able to take at the #1 gate as we started our climb on the Great Wall, and at a stone that has a poem written by Mao, Chairman Mao. And the chaperones couldn't help but play a little fun and see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. So, and this seemed a very fitting quote that Eileen placed: every experience is an opportunity to learn and to grow. I thank you.
Other questions?
I just want to thank Dr. Hatchell and Mrs. Manning Freeman, Dr. Hatchell for instituting this wonderful program that allows our students to travel, but also for them to come here. It is so much in my philosophy that, you know, it's through common language, common communication that we recognize, that we solve. We truly change the world. I don't think the world needs changing, I think that we do. And that's through communicating. So thank you very much for establishing this. I want to encourage anyone who is considering hosting to do so. When Kelly was speaking about the kindness of the Chinese students she met and the family she lived with, that was certainly true, and I know it is for those of you who've also hosted. We've hosted two of the students who came here 2 different times, and both of them just terrifically helpful. Last year when we were hosting, our son had a broken leg and was in a wheelchair, and this fine guest of ours just leaped in at every opportunity to fold up the wheelchair, to pull it out, to help me in every way. And he was just a champ and couldn't have been more appreciative of his assistance. So thank you both. And thank you, Kelly.
If I could add real quick, thank you very much to Ms. Manning Freeman. He's 3-4 years old now, and I remember coming up with the idea and had the perfect person to run it. And she's taken it on as her own and really made this a great program, and we plan to continue where 1 year we will have students come our way from China, and the next year we will send that way. And she does an incredible job, second to none, and I can't thank her enough for making this such a success.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. We need a motion to approve Resolution 259-16, acceptance of the audit report for fiscal year 2015-2016.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Dr. Hatch.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gregory.
Good evening. As you know, state law requires the district to have an independent audit of its financial records performed each year. The law also requires the auditor's report to be delivered to the Board of Education within 5 months, that's within 5 months of the close of the fiscal year. Delivery of this report this evening meets that November 30 deadline. The district's comprehensive annual financial report, or CAFR, including the auditor's opinion on the financial statements, was available in your board packets, and tonight you should have received a hard copy of that same document. I'd like to thank Ms. Maria Bogren and her staff for compiling the CAFR and for leading the management side of the audit. Earlier today, the audit committee met with representatives from Clifton Larson Allen, our independent audit firm, to fully understand or better understand the audit process. Tonight, Mr. Eric Miller is here from Clifton Larson Allen to express his opinion with regard to generally accepted auditing standards, including the federal grant awards. church.
Thank you to the board for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and thank you to Tom for putting me after a trip to China. I can't audit report after a trip. And thank you to the finance department. They have day jobs, and they're a tremendous help to us over the course of 3-4 months in really compiling their financial statements. So with that, I don't anticipate or plan on getting into a lot of detail. So if you have questions, stop me or let me know, and then I can get into it. But if you've got the CAFR in front of you, I'm going to jump to page 1. Well, it's page 1, but there's 20 pages. So page 1 is our opinion over the district's CAFR. Within this opinion, you will see that management, their responsibility is the preparation of the financial statements in conformity with accounting principles. Our responsibility is to express an opinion. And I can say for 2016, the district did get an unmodified or a clean opinion. So hats off to Tom and to the finance department. Now I'm going to actually make a jump. I'm going to go all the way to page 119. As part of the fiscal year audit, the district expends over $750,000 of federal money. Due to that, we perform what is called a single audit or a compliance audit. So on page 119, you will see a separate report related to the single audit. Once again, management is responsible for compliance of federal regulations, statutes, and we express an opinion over their compliance. And just like the financial audit, the single audit was an unmodified report or a clean opinion. Questions based on those first just kind of 2 reports?
You're going to CPA if you had them.
I've got one more. There's one more attachment you should have received. It's the governance communication. It's our required communication directly to the board. We work for the board, so that's the kind of the end of the process, if you want to call it that. Within this report, it's going to lay out your or the district's accounting policies that they use, accounting estimates that are part of the financial statements. We look at those estimates just for reasonableness, and in all situations, we deem them reasonable to be shown within the CAFR. But you will also see if Marita or Tom gave us any trouble, we can put in there that we had difficulties with management. We did not have any difficulties with management during the year. And with that, I will open it up to the board.
Questions, comments? Spoke?
Just a comment. First of all, Mr. Miller, I'm really sorry that we made you sit here for so long. And my daughter just texted me and says she's stuck. The roads are solid ice. So you might want to put a little call in to Mr. Needham Mueller and ask for a hotel tonight. But I just wanted to comment. We did have our audit committee meeting just before our board meeting, and of course went really well. And appreciate Mr. Miller and your staff, and I know that you guys are good to work with, and I know that our Marina, Linda, and Tom's staff are very good to work with. We talked about several things. One of the things Mr. Miller talked about is they have a data analysis tool.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
called,
Yep.
that they plugged this year they plugged all of our payroll numbers into and found 0 errors. And kind of consistent across, the audit, they found no findings. I think one little tiny adjustment that Rita wasn't very happy about, but we were giving her a bad time about because typically an audit like this, you would have a couple adjustments or findings or something, and just, so our staff is doing a fabulous job. And I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about the bond passing and the trust that our community has in, the people who run the district. And I know to a lot of people, numbers are really important. To me, numbers are really, really important. And if I know that somebody is managing my tax dollars with integrity and accuracy, then I'm going to give them more money to build new schools. And so I appreciate what Mr. Gregory and his staff do to just set the highest standard of integrity, and I think we hear that from our auditors.
I did mention, or mean to say that in the back of the report, you'll see what she's alluding to in terms of no material weaknesses or significant.
Any other questions you have? Thank you, sir. We have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Borland?
Aye.
Mrs. Bullock?
Aye.
Mrs. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Strebe?
Aye.
Mrs. Van Mater? Aye.
Graduation requirements for Academy District 20, Dr. Hatchell.
Thank you very much, Dr. Field.
Be safe.
Maureen's still at
Thanks.
home from work. She left at 6:15.
Thanks, Eric. Be safe. Take care.
Gets off at 1:05. She's on 25.
Thank you, Rita.
Is that a message for me?
My dad already started texting me like 2 hours ago. So, good evening. We're pleased to share our graduation guidelines, or actually our proposed District 20 graduation guidelines. This evening I'm going to share the podium with Clark Maxson. There he is. Bob Barros, our Executive Director for Special Ed, and Diane Forsyth, our Director for Career and actually College and Careers now we call it. So we're very excited to be here. And this is going to work. Right? Oh, is it on? It is now. There we go. So slide 2 is a CDE timeline of the graduation guidelines work that needs to occur in each Colorado school district. The new graduation requirements will take place for the students of the graduating class of 2021, which is our current 8th graders. The big change for students statewide is that they must demonstrate proficiency in English language arts, or we call it ELA, and math to graduate from high school. District 20 already requires students to obtain 50 credits in coursework to graduate, so that has not changed. As you know, Karen Reynolds facilitated a graduation guidelines task force made of principals, teachers, students, parents, and community members, which began working together in the 2014-15 school year to unpack the new state law and to determine how to best meet guidelines in District 20. The task force worked for 2 years and developed 9 recommendations. And just real quickly, I just want to remind you what they were. That we continue our current 50 credits to graduate from high school. That students can take an assessment to demonstrate college and career readiness in ELA and math. That we develop work groups to determine parameters for the capstone project, industry certification option, state assessments, and students with disabilities. These groups have been meeting this fall. Students be provided opportunities as early as their freshman year to demonstrate proficiency on any of those options. Upon entering the senior year of high school, if a student has not demonstrated proficiency in ELA or math, the task force recommended an assigned workshop or class to assist students with the completion of the capstone project or mastering the ACT Work Keys assessment. The IEP be considered for students with disabilities who are unable to demonstrate proficiency in ELA or math. That we adapt curriculum as indicated in a 504 plan or learning plan for English language learners. That all students continue to maintain an ICAP, which is the